Welcome back. Well, to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have this phone with Mrs. Heba Eldin, writer and entrepreneur. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Well, Dr. Eldin, how do you see the recommendations that was read by the Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri and the President of the COP27, as he said that setting up a loss and damage fund to the developing countries is a historical step?
Of course, this step is very historical because before this step there were so many years of some negotiations conducted in order to establish this fund. So finally, after COP27, which is presided by our President and by Minister of Foreign Affairs Sameh Shukri, so they have achieved a really historic step in order to establish this fund finally, because there were so many years of so many negotiations in order to help the nations in order to reduce the disasters through this fund. When we have a loss and damage fund, of course, it will help in order to limit the climate change, and also will help in order to reduce the carbon emissions.
Yes, so Dr. Eldin, also among the recommendations was a point saying that Egypt is going to follow up this during the whole year concerning the recommendations that came out of the conference until it hands over the presidency or the hosting of the conference to Dubai. How do you see it?
Well, I see it a very smart step from Egypt, because COP27 was held in Egypt, and regards of this conference, we as a country, we should follow up the recommendations and the response to the serious steps taken. And also we need to observe what are the other recommendations, what are the other positive steps that were discussed already in the conference with the final days. So Egypt is really, I see it as an observation or observatory country to follow up implementation of those steps, whether funds, whether some achievements after COP27 to help limiting climate change all over the world until COP28 in Dubai. So, of course, there are so many steps should be taken until we have the next conference. And, of course, I see that it is a very serious and very smart way to follow up all of those steps, because Egypt was hosting this conference.
Yes, so Dr. Eldin, also this year's conference is under the title Together for Implementation. So, and actually President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, during his speech before the conference in the opening session of the conference, said that it's time for work and for action, say, concerning this.
Well, in my point of view, we have so many discussions, we have so many negotiations in order to establish funds, in order to establish some agreements. So this inaugurating speech by our president really shows that we need to take steps, we need to take actions, and those actions will be followed with serious steps. Of course, we need to stop discussing just talking about climate change and about some agreements around climate change. So we need to take some serious steps. And of course, so many countries are cooperating. 200 countries hosted in the conference are cooperating in order to limit climate change. And those actions and this inauguration speech said and held by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi really it shows taking serious steps, taking serious actions in regards to climate change.
Yes, yes, and also shows the role that Egypt plays in the region and in coordinating with other countries. Of course, Egypt actually was in this conference, also was speaking Africa. So, what's your comment?
Yes, that's what we have witnessed. That's what we have seen. Egypt is depending on African countries and the whole disasters. Of course, I see that this is very positive and this is really important. Egypt is taking significant steps in order to limit the disaster, the nation in Africa. Of course, so many natural disasters that should be observed. And also the climate change is really focused in African countries. So I see that because Egypt is one of the African countries, is leading African countries, and this is a very important role taken by Egypt.
Yes, Dr. Azzeddin, also during the COP27, Egypt have succeeded in focusing attention on the adaptation measures by linking them to the essentials of the daily life, including food security and water management. So what's your comment?
The two topics, security and environment, are proceeded after this conference with other series of conferences in Egypt for a conference of conference on food security with the cooperation with other organizations. So my comment here is that we really need to establish and also to ensure food security. Of course, those are some of the vital cases suffered by the whole nations, not only the host countries, but also the whole world, especially African countries, as Egypt focused on them. So those two vital topics are taken with a serious eye and also serious steps after the COP27. So COP27 is not an ending. Of course, here I'd like to say that Egypt is highlighting that COP27 is not like an ending step. No, this is an initial step for more conferences on food security and also more recommendations, more serious steps and actions on those two vital topics.
Yes, Mrs. Azzeddin, also during the days of the conference, each day was discussing a title, a day for energy, a day for biodiversity, a day for women and other topics and titles. It was a very busy conference. What is your say concerning this?
Yes, so many topics tackled. Of course, I like so much that they focus on some vulnerable topics and some rules. They are important. For example, Day for Women. Of course, women's role on cooperating in all of those, in solving out all of those issues are really important because we have witnessed that Egypt is really respecting women. Egypt is taking some actions in cooperation by not only men but also women. So all of those roles tackled in the conference. The conference wants to say, and Egypt wants to say, because this is a hosting country. Egypt wants to say that this is not only for we have not only the conference for COP27 for climate change, but also for discussing other vital important topics. Nations as the role of women, as other so many topics relevant to climate change, and also other topics that help focusing and help solving the issues and problems, consequences from climate change.
Yes, Mrs. Azzeddin, the good opportunity for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to meet all, to make a on the sideline of the conference. He made a large number of meetings with the world leaders and prime ministers from around the world and specialists in the climate change. This is a very big number that goodness meet all these number of world leaders. Also, what's your comment on this?
Actually, I was so proud that Egypt is meeting all of those people, all of those, I can say, leaders of the world in one place in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. So this shows, in my point of view, the importance of a strategic position that Egypt enjoys, the significant role that Egypt is playing with all over the world, not only regards climate change. Actually, it was really nice for all of us, for all of the that the whole leaders of the world came here in Egypt. And actually, I see that also there are like long-term projects and long-term plans observed by those leaders to solve out the natural problems and also solve out the climate change problems and consequences all over the world.
Yes. Yes. So, Mrs. Azzeddine, also participation of the youth from Egypt, a large number of youth were participating, and actually they were volunteers and volunteering to help in the organizing of the conference. And actually we saw the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres taking a group picture with the youth in order to encourage them, and they were awarded by the UN during after the conference. What's your say?
Of course, this is this is really a message delivered to the whole world that our youth are aware. They have awareness of such global conferences, such international conferences. They want to come here to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt in order to learn. The university young people, I know some of the young people, they are from schools. They are totally volunteers there in order to benefit from such conferences, in order also to participate, in order to know more about some of the global issues discussed, in order to meet some more people concerned with climate change. Actually, I was so proud that our young people are aware. We have awareness raised in universities, in schools, in even our houses. So, in order to give permission for their young people to travel and to participate and to invest their time and invest their money. Of course, this shows the awareness of the families, of the Egyptian families, accurately, and also of the awareness of the Egyptian youth.
Yes, and during also the conference, Mrs. Azzeddine, Egypt witnessed signing agreements concerning in several fields, and especially in the field of energy and the field of wind farm, an agreement between Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, and other agreements that is considered a benefit for Egypt, that Egypt benefited from this conference.
Yes, it's really important because such agreements will turn our cities into green cities and will reduce emissions, carbon emissions especially, and will also reduce the pollution, will invent and explore more of friendly environment vehicles, whether cars, whether any other devices. Such agreements to be established and also to be conducted in Egypt and will be taken into consideration. All of those agreements, of course, will give so many positive steps and positive acts, and also so many benefits to Egypt, to more green environment.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information, Mrs. Heba Azzeddine, writer and entrepreneur. Thank you very much for joining us over the phone. And with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program, Cairo Local Time. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.